Welcome to the Oshow. I'm Laura Babcock, and it's Family Day. What better time than to have a conversation about the families in our community and across Ontario who are suffering today with friends and members of their family experiencing homelessness and all of the ravages that go with that. You can't be around people who are living rough and not see the toll that it takes on their health, their mental health. And then when you meet so many of them, you realize there's a whole bunch of reasons. There are seniors, there are young families. I mean, we really have to have a conversation about this growing crisis. And also the human side of it. And I put in an op-ed in the Hamilton Spectator, which we'll get to, about calling leaders to step up, as we've seen across this country. So it's such an honor to have joining us on the Oshow, Angela Voss. And Angela, she's with Jordan's Life. Welcome to the show. And if it's not too much to ask, can you tell me a bit about Jordan and what brought you to be so passionate as an advocate for people living in homelessness?
Um, Jordan was a spectacular child. I mean, he was always caring for other people and trying to take care of his community. And he passed away because I called for help when he was struggling with addiction. He passed away at Central East Correctional Facility. So ever since then, I have started fighting for just advocating for prisoners. But then I realized it goes further than that. It goes further than the addiction issues. It goes all the way back to poverty and the fact that people can't survive. And they're doing everything that they can to try to survive.
Just before we get to what you've been trying to do in Hamilton, which is to get the armories open, can you tell me a little bit about, were you part of the fight as well? I believe it was in Barrie to help people there who are also experiencing homelessness.
Absolutely. We did a camp out for kindness in Barrie, but we also petitioned City Hall to try to get better services at the time that they were trying to criminalize helping the homeless. The fine would have been $1,000 for me to give water or sleeping bags, a tent, or anything of need to my friends and neighbors that are on the streets. So we really had to push back on that because it's essential that they get those services from us because there is no places for them to receive them.
So the idea that a council would go so far, as Barry tried to do, to say you're not allowed to help, that just seemed inhumane. And so, kudos to you and everyone else who led the charge. And I remember seeing people from Hamilton saying, we'll take a bus to Barrie if that's what it takes to stop this, because what a terrible precedent that would set across the country. And, there are so many efforts that I've become aware of in Hamilton that are actively helping people who are living in homelessness just to be able to sustain themselves with food, right? And with basic supplies. I mean, it really is stunning. We don't have enough room in our shelters at night. And that brings me to what you're trying to do with the Armory. There have been calls over the years to open up Sir John A. Macdonald, that empty school, right smack have downtown, be perfect location. That went
Hmm.
nowhere. Even the school board, one of the chairs, former chair, reached out to me and said, they'd offered it. It didn't happen. And then there was a push to open up City Center, and an op-ed was written by Graham Crawford, who's a frequent guest here. And City Councillor Cameron Kretsch actually looked into that and saw whether or not that was viable. You have been pushing with a very powerful video, which I'm going to share with our viewers. You have been pushing for the armories to open. And I've been in the armories for like a fancy ceremonial event. They're massive. And there's tons of
Hmm.
space. And it seems to me to be a sensible location. We know in Ottawa, they've opened up a government building to help shelter people to get through this cold winter there. Other cities are doing all kinds of different things, including building small shelters, which again, we didn't get done in Hamilton. So tell me about why the armories, where that's going, what can be done, if anything, or are you feeling kind of hopeless?
Well, you know what? I do believe in the armories and that it can happen. I just feel like it needs to be listened to. And when I moved here, I really moved here with this big perspective of being under an NDP government. because I thought this is a great place to make futuristic changes and to get the communities to work together, not only for the homeless population, but repopulating the people that are coming into the system that can never afford to buy a home or do anything, with different recycling projects that I'd come up with and ideas so that it doesn't cost cities so much money. And honestly, my ideas have continuously been shut down. And these aren't ideas that are going to cost the city a whole lot of money. The Armories is a building that is equipped to take this on. It is functioning, it has been well maintained. Unlike some of the other suggestions, the building is ready. All we have to do is open the doors and set it up. And to me, that's a value that's unspeakable for having that armory in the location that it's in. And to be honest, the whole history behind that armory kind of says to me this is what it should be used for, in honor of the John Ware story and what he had gone through. Um, he had actually saved a whole bunch of people when the war was on and brought them into the armory there for salvation, um, and to get them to proper medical care because there wasn't much in this area at that point in time. So, I mean, this man is a legend and pulled people miles to there from the shores of Lake Ontario. And I think, honestly, for us to pull the people off the streets and out of homeless crisis and help them with all of these services that might help them progress along with their mental health, be able to get medications, identification, figure out housing. There's so many services that people are not connected to, and they don't even know that they exist because when they first become homeless, they have to learn from everybody else. And that is the most devastating part, is because that first month of homelessness, they have nothing. They're literally wandering around waiting to find something or somebody to embrace them. And if they don't get embraced, a lot of those ones don't survive.
I met a man who was newly homeless, probably in his 50s. And we were at a community event that I participate in, and I try to keep it out of politics, so I'll just refer to it. But, and he said to me, Laura, there's such a great sense of community here. Now, when I'm on the street between these events, I actually know people and I can say hi. Right. And I think that's what you're alluding to, is this idea of being embraced, this idea of feeling part of some community that can support you and teach you how it goes. I can't imagine what that first month is like. I can't imagine what one night is like. I mean, we have to be real here. It's rough. And so, I just want to get back to something you mentioned about you moved here because of an NDP government. Are you talking about Andrea Horwath becoming the mayor? Is that what brought you to Hamilton, or am I hearing you wrong?
Yeah, I really thought that this was going to be an opportunity to embrace like a future of recycling, of homing people, of healthcare, of ethics. I mean, the NDP, they have done so many amazing things for me. I have been at Parliament. I've met Jagmeet Singh. Gord Johns has done some policy changes around the opiate crisis that he's trying to push that keeps getting denied. That is Bill C-216. But they really have embraced a lot of things for me and done a lot of hard work. And to see Andrea just void as a mayor, I am astonished. I'm disappointed. And this is not what the NDP is supposed to be.
I hear that a lot whenever I travel out of town. People say it must be great having an NDP mayor in there. You guys getting support for various things, and I reflect on what you've just said, which is that not in any way that I can see. There's been a lack of leadership there. So have you tried to work with the mayor's office? Have you brought, I mean, we certainly try on social media, but I'm not sure that that there's anyone paying attention there. Do you try, have you called them directly? Are you able to share any kind of?
I have called them directly. Actually, I have a team of girls that have been calling on a repetitive um, cycle, basically. One of my girls, Isabel, finally got through to her. She promised that she would get back to us and, of course, never did. But this is just a continuous cycle. Our emails are never answered. I mean, we put some really logistic ways of solving some of these problems without much financial expense. It's just bringing some of these community organizations together, um, to make it happen, and nothing. Not even like I talk to them about their veterinarians. There's a bunch of veterinarians that will go out and see animals and stuff, but they need the support for the vaccines and things that the animals need to keep them healthy and our community healthy, because it's our pets that will be affected as well. And nothing.
Doing we're doing less than other communities that don't have NDP mayors. Like, we're doing less, right?
Yes.
Our business leaders are doing less. Our developers doing less. They talk big game. They NIMBY. But where is their emergency response? We see a successful business person in Fredericton built 99 little shelters. We've seen mayors give up their New Year's party money to give it to people who are experiencing homelessness because they just couldn't sleep at night. And here we have our mayor doing 3 parties. We have people blocking projects and always making up excuses. And
Absolutely. And discrimination is illegal. Whether it's illegal. So why are we discriminating people that are in poverty because we don't give them enough financial support? I
well,
mean, I couldn't live off $600 or $700 or $1,300 at the max for ODSP.
when people say to some of my posts, why aren't they working? Well, you know what? A lot of people that I see actually have disabilities. So they
Hmm.
in wheelchairs. They'd like to be working. Some of them tell me they wish they were working. They used to be working and contributing, and how incredibly frustrating it is. And now they can't live, and they can't. I had a conversation with a woman just this past weekend. Can't pay the rent, can't buy food, can't work. Used to work, can't anymore because of a disability. And so they are in this terrible situation where they are, days from being completely homeless with lack of rent controls. They're terrified.
I have
So
nurses that are living in their cars because they can't afford a place to live and their credit's not perfect. So
neither is
when you
mine.
look at it like
I don't know why.
that, you know,
I know it's sickening, eh?
it is. It's sickening. I mean, some of these people, a lot of my people have jobs and they do go to work, but they sleep in a tent when they come home. Like, how could you even imagine going to work for 8 hours and then going to a tent and getting up and doing it all over again?
I can't. I mean,
I can't.
I can't even camp on family holidays without complaining and griping about every bad weather and every lack of comfort. I can't imagine then going and doing an 8-hour shift as a nurse. That's just stunning. And I don't, thank you for bringing that up specifically, because I don't think anyone really. I mean, it's hard for us to have a clue. I was driving downtown during garbage day last week, and there are huge piles of garbage to be collected outside of stores and stuff. And I saw a huge pile of garbage, and then I saw someone move in it, and I found out later on social media it's been someone's home for a couple of years
Mhm.
on a main artery in downtown Hamilton. Um, it's just so. So, what do you
And
attribute?
such an appreciative person that is. Like, I bring him stuff like bowls of soup or hot towels to wash up with, and such an appreciative person. But he does go to Gore Park. He didn't know about it for a long time, but he does now. So,
I'm so glad to hear that people are accessing the services, because people can't always find out. I mean, how do they know? How do they know what hours different charities are serving and what's available to them? We could go on all day about some of the things I've learned recently, but more importantly, Angela,
mhm.
like what? First of all, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that Hamilton has been uh, such a disappointment in terms of our civic leadership. And I want to thank you for being in Hamilton, because you're obviously making a huge difference, you and everyone else that you work with. What do you want us to do? What do you want people to understand watching the social? What do you want the mayor's office to hear?
I want them to know that the services are already available here in Hamilton. We just need to work together to make them happen. And if we keep pushing each other aside and making this crisis even worse, what is the value of your town going to be at the end of this crisis? Are you going to honor the people that live in Hamilton by fixing this and increasing the value of our town, our homes, and our neighborhood? Or are we going to just let our town fall to pieces? I want to know if we can work together or if we're going to keep working in silos because this isn't working.
There are so many groups, good organizations, to your point, that are doing good work. And there are resources here, and there are so many big hearts. I get overwhelmed with offers of support and donations whenever I post about some of the work that my family's been helping with. And there is an overwhelming desire to fix this, to do some of the things that other communities are doing. And so what I'm hearing from you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Angela, but there's a coordinating role for the mayor, a leadership role, a big picture role of saying, what are the resources? Where are the gaps? How can we work together? Is that what you're saying? That there needs to be a coming together? Because I know all the organizations are doing their very, very best. So is that what we're missing here? Is that leadership?
Yeah, we just need that leadership to say where we need to put it and somebody to have that ingenuity to say, okay, you know what? We don't need to spend $1 billion on all of this stuff. What we need to do is come together as a town because we all want this fixed. We all want change and we all want to live in safe, happy, healthy neighborhoods.
Yeah, and to go home at night to shelter and to get a good
Mhm.
night's rest. I had the lead on the Oshow from Wesley, and they were saying, imagine not getting any rest, like you're saying, going back to a tent. I mean, people have no idea. A baby was born in one of these tents. If you don't think it's families or nurses working full shifts and living in encampments, Angela, thank you for this. And I know that we'll have you back. I have a feeling we haven't heard the last from you. We have to have hope. And so on this Family Day, thank you so much, Angela Voss. And I'll have you back. And I wish you all the best with what you're doing. Is there somewhere that people could support your work if they wanted to? Do you take donations? How can somebody get there to support you?
I'm on Jordan's Life on Facebook. I'm obviously on Twitter as Angela Voss. TikTok, we do have a donations page. And of course, hamiltonhelps.com is where the petition is. And help in those directions is always great because that gets me more flyers out and directly to people's doors to let them know what I'm doing.
And I've signed the petition. I encourage you go to Hamilton Helps and sign that petition to open up the armories. Leaders can't ignore us if we all speak loudly and clearly. So call the mayor's office as well if you're watching this program and feel that she needs to, at very least, respond to Angela and all of the people who are trying so hard to get Mayor Andrea Horwath's attention. Thank you for watching the Ocean. Subscribe on YouTube. And again, have a wonderful Family Day and week and be safe. And let's think about our neighbors. Thank you.
When you care about current affairs, it's on the Oshow. And when you want to get clear what's going on here, it's on the Oshow. If you like to stay in the know, tune yourself into the Oshow. It's the Oshow. Laura Babcock's the Oshow. With a lot of great guests, she puts them to the test on the Oshow. There's no doubt they'll be calling them out on the Oshow. Stand for something or fall for it all. Ontario, hear the call of the Oshow. It's a podcast, the Oshow. Laura Babcock's the Oshow. Stay informed with the Oshow, Oshow.